Welcome back to GameSpot stage here at E3 2015. I am joined by the guys from Platinum Games who are here to show Transformers Devastation. Hi there, could you introduce yourselves please for the stream?
Absolutely. So I'm Robert Conke, producer at Activision. This is Kenji Saito. He is the director from Platinum Games. And this is Atsushi Kuroka, who is the producer from Platinum Games.
Welcome. I think that let's start with the surprise that nobody knew that you guys were working on a Transformers game. How did the game come about?
I think this is for Kuroka-san. So, TF はかなりのびっくりでした。それはどうやってもうこのゲームが作られるようになりました？
そうですね。最初はアクティビジョンさんの方からそういったオーダーがありまして、そういう依頼を受けたっていうところから始まってますけれども、今回も素晴らしいタイトルのお仕事というかテーマをいただいて我々の力を十分発揮できるようなIP も与えていただいて非常に感謝してます。
So it originally came from actually Activision. So we work with Hasbro and we've done many a Transformers game. And we threw it their way and said, Transformers, what do you guys got? And they had some really cool ideas, and we ended up working with them on it. And they said they were super stoked to be able to work on such a cool brand.
So you guys were Transformers fans. What is it like to work on such a well-established and famous franchise?
Sure. じゃあトランスフォーマーズのファンとしてトランスフォーマーズのゲームが作れるっていうことで、どんな気分ですか？
そうですね。僕はやっぱり子供の頃から、トランスフォーマーが好きで、自分もおもちゃで遊んだ世代でアニメも見てた。やっぱりそういう作品に関われるっていうのは、とてもそうですね。楽しみながら作っていると同時に、ちょっとみんなのもう分かっているところもあるので、ちょっとプレッシャーも感じます。
So he said it's kind of a mix of pressure and a lot of fun. So he's been playing with Transformers since he was a kid, right? It was right in his generation, so it meant a whole lot for him to be able to do it. But he does feel like there's a lot of expectation riding around it, so there's pressure there.
So let's talk about there's a wider sort of legacy and canon when it comes to Transformers because you've got the old cartoons, you've got the comics, you've got the new gritty movies.
Sure.
Where are we pulling from for Transformers Devastation?
Sure. So I can answer that one. So we've been pulling from a multitude of places actually. So the key places that we're pulling from are the IDW comic book series. They did a Generation 1 reboot that started in 2005. The Generations toy line from Hasbro, as well as, of course, the original TV show. All these kind of put together into one modern package to kind of pay homage to the rich history of Transformers.
For sure. And I mean the visuals as well, because it kind of retains the comic book look and the cartoon look, but it also has sort of like cell shading as well.
Exactly.
Was that a deliberate decision?
It was. Yes, that's exactly what they were going for. And if you want, they can talk about it all day if you want.
Yeah, please.
So, やはりコミックブックスとアニメに近い見た目じゃないですか。それがやはり狙いだったのでしょうかっていう。
そうですね。一番最初セルシェーディングでトランスフォーマーを作ってみないかと、アクティビジョンさんの方から依頼を受けたんですけど、セルシェーディングでやるならもう絶対にこの見た目じゃないと僕は許せないっていうふうに思ったんで、もうこの見た目で絶対行こうと。
So when Activision first brought it to them, we said, hey, we kind of like to see what you guys can do with cell shading, and they said, if we want to use cell shading, it has to look like this, right? Like this is the only way he could imagine it going. So
let's talk a little bit about the combat. We can see here that's the thing with Transformers.
Absolutely.
How are we able to use that in combat and to get around the city?
So there's actually three key ways that I guess you could say four. There's four key ways that transformation is being used. So one is the way that you often see it in a lot of games. It's used for mobility to get around. But there are three unique ways that are in this game that you've never really seen before. So one is you can use it to connect combos. So when you'll see the character fighting and there'll be like a little blue sparkle, whenever that happens, it's an opportunity to use what we're calling a vehicle attack. You turn into a vehicle, you jump after them, and you can continue your combo. If you're good, you can do that multiple times in a row and actually chain super long, super crazy combos. The other way is actually used defensively, so you can use transformation to dodge attacks. If you hold the button, you'll actually turn into a vehicle after you dodge. And then the last one is what we're calling rush attacks, where if you build up maximum speed as if you build up maximum speed as a vehicle, and then you attack, you unleash a really, really powerful combo.
So not only within the wider Transformers lore, I guess, and universe, where other inspirations have you drawn from? Especially when it comes to gameplay. I mean, because there's so many ways you can tackle
Sure.
a Transformers game.
Sure.
But I mean, Timur, who went to see the game yesterday, said that there was a little bit that reminded him of Bayonetta, because if you dodge correctly, you can get like witch time.
Yep.
And it's like, time slows. Was that a conscious decision?
いや、今回はフォーカスがあるじゃないですか。
はい。
ベヨネットに結構似てると思うんですけど、それを作った時の感想を教えていただけませんか。
そうですね、ベヨネッタと似たようなというか、似てるというわけではなくて、今回の TF ではそのスローというところは、反撃攻撃のチャンスというところの目印として使っています。ベヨネッタに関してはそのゲームデザインとしてスローを組み込むことによっての、チャンスタイムになってるんで、そこは結構大きな違いになってます。
So, you said there's a very large difference between the way that worked in Bayonetta and here. So here, it's really more about once you've done that dodge, it's an opportunity to do a counterattack that actually leads directly into a vehicle attack.
Yeah.
As opposed to Bayonetta, where it was more of a really big chance to land a bunch of combos. So while the base is the same, the actual in practice, it's much different. So
let's talk a little bit about the story then, because I imagine as Transformers fans, it's an amazing opportunity to be able to imprint your own legacy in there. Where did the idea come from?
So we are actually working with Andy Schmidt, who is a writer for the IDW comic series. He worked prominently on All Hail Megatron, which was a really popular portion of that. And he's also worked with us on previous games, War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, and Res of the Darkspark. So he's been an incredible asset, and we managed to it was actually a collaboration between all of us because we needed to match gameplay, but we also needed it to tell a cool story, and so we worked with these guys very closely and managed to get to where we are. But it is set in the Generations universe, and if you want, I can give you the summary.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so the overall summary is the Decepticons arrive on Earth, and it appears that Earth has been is being forcibly and violently transformed into a new Cybertron, and much to the expense of everyone living there. So it's pretty destructive, and so the Decepticons seem to know what's going on, and the Autobots don't really understand it yet. They end up finding this ship that's underground that seems to be the source of it, and the Decepticons get there first, and the Autobots have to stop them. So that's kind of what happens there.
And in terms of the famous metal faces, I suppose, that we're going to see in the game, so Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, who was the most fun to kind of play around with and inject life into?
Ooh, well, that's definitely a matter of opinion, but let's see what they say. 今回のゲームではいくつかのプレイアブルなキャラがいると思うんですけど、作るのが一番楽しかった方はどっちでしょうかっていう。
それ全員から答えて大丈夫なんですか？
You're talking about specifically about the playable characters, or you're talking about all the characters?
I mean, or at least, because there's some amazing characters in there, and I imagine they're pulled from all over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay. じゃあやっぱりそのプレイアブルのキャラの
プレイアブルの中から5人からですね。
はい。
やっぱり僕グリムロックプレイアブルとしては大好きなので、そのグリムロックを作るのがやっぱ楽しかったです。彼だけやっぱり恐竜になれるっていうちょっと特殊なところはあるので、それを生かしたゲームを作って考えていくというのがとても楽しかったです。
So his favorite design was actually Grimlock because he's a cool dinosaur, obviously, but he also is very unique in that he doesn't turn into a vehicle; he turns into a dinosaur, and that really changes things in the way that you approach the game. So just from a character standpoint, as well as a very different gameplay style standpoint, it was incredibly interesting for him.
Wonderful. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. Best of luck with Transformers Devastation. When can we play it?
This fall this year.
Wonderful. So not long to wait at all.
No.
Guys, make sure you don't go anywhere. More awesome game demos coming right up here on the GameSpot stage.